Hi guys, welcome back to the new year. Happy New Year, happy 2024 to all the 1994 kids. How y'all doing? How are the knees holding up? My name is Rita and I'm the host on the Good Old Days. And today we are going to be hosting a friend of mine. We have met once and we've been chatting. So clearly we are now besties, Moreen. And we're going to be talking about the good old days. But before we do that, please subscribe. Remember to subscribe to this podcast, YouTube, wherever you're listening from. Leave us a comment, share some of your experiences. And the reason, again, we share this story is so that you can maybe learn something. You can pick something from someone's story that you could incorporate in your day-to-day life, or anything that you could just pick out. It could be a laughter or a relief from what happened to you, and just know maybe it was not you alone. And yeah, find a way of fostering on and moving forward. So I'm going to allow Moreen to introduce herself to you and let us know or get us into her world of who little Moreen was and like take us back in the day. Hi, Moreen.
Hi, Rita.
How are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you?
I'm good.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year too. Are
Happy
you
New
from
Year,
1994?
No.
Oh, okay. I probably shouldn't have asked that one. Anyway, so I would want for you to tell us about yourself. Like, who's Moreen?
My name is Moreen Asiimwe, but since we are talking about the good old days, most people know me as Orin because that's my hood name. That's my childhood name. That's
Moreen.
what everyone knows.
Oh, that was cute. If I tell you my hood name, let me keep quiet too.
It's stuck. If you went to Nyamtanga right now and asked for Maureen, you'd never get me. But ask for Orin, everyone would point to my home.
So back in the day, when someone had like a longer name, we'd cut it, but mainly from, so we'd be calling you, for example, Mori. Eh?
No,
Not
actually,
Orin.
Orin was my name
Yeah.
originally. It was my name. But people never knew how to pronounce it. So people would say orange, Corin, Horin, all kinds of funny names. So I had to change it at
And who are your
as-
people?
as born in Nyamtanga, Bara, Nsiche, specifically. Yes, that's my village. That's my
Msiche.
home. Yes,
Okay, so your people are also from there, or do you have like a deeper village?
they're from there.
They're from Ziche.
Yes.
And how many children are you at home?
We are 3 children. I'm the firstborn.
Firstborns. Firstborns. To be this soft as a firstborn, tell us a secret. Take us back home.
I'm a firstborn that beats actually, but I think it goes back to the people that raised me. They're
Yeah.
very soft-spoken people. Yeah, at our home, we don't really shout at each other. So maybe that's where it comes from, but I'm actually a strict person. Like, what I say goes, and I
Okay.
don't like to repeat myself.
Makes the two of us. So, someone said that's good. Okay, so how did you grow up? How was the family? How was the family set up? Let's say small Maureen or Orin at home in the morning, maybe. How was it? The relationship with your mom, the relationship with your folks, like the people that came before you that you could call family. How was it like?
Like, I don't really have like so many like memories with most of the people because we were like a small intact family. We didn't have like so many people at home, and most of them were like a young generation. Most of them were school going people. So like growing up as actually like an only child,
Yeah.
it felt more like that because I did not grow up with my mom. I grew up with my grandmother and my aunties and uncles.
Yeah.
So my mom had my other siblings. So I like grew up as a last born instead of a firstborn because my aunties were older. But yeah, I don't have like memories with other children. It's actually memories with the adults at home. Yeah. And my grandmother was a very like soft-spoken person, very kind, very hardworking. She was a very hands-on person who liked to do things herself.
Yeah.
So me, I'd have to like the most of the times I would have to be like sent to the shop, sent somewhere, do this for me, maybe wash a cup for me, or
Yeah.
maybe do this. But like the heavy work, she had to do it herself. She was a very hands-on woman.
I understand. I understand where she's coming from, because watching someone do something for you sometimes can take a little bit of courage and belief, really, and love for others, because it's like, where are you peeling the bananas so slowly?
Right.
We don't have time, babes. We do not. Just run to the shop. That time I do not
Now
have.
let me tell you something. When it came to like peeling or even cooking,
Yeah.
she liked to cook her food. She was okay, maybe to say maybe a micromanager, sort of. Like she liked to do her things herself. When you'd peel for her, she'd say, ebyo ebyokulya birya nebinuuka obugaro bw'abaana. So she liked to peel for herself.
I see.
Yes, the only thing she would tell you to do is nyeregereza omuro.
Compliment her work.
Yes.
Just don't do it all
Cut
together.
for me the tomatoes, cut for me the onions, but I will do the actual cooking. So, my love for cooking actually came from watching her cook.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would only cook if she wasn't around or if she was not going to eat the food. The food I'd cook would be mine and other people's. But if she was there, she was doing the work.
That is nice for her, because then you'd get to rest, unlike the rest of us who are only children and only girls. So you'd have to do at least the work. You'd have at least to do the work. But I also remember growing up, my grandmother used to just have me over. I would watch her cook, and I think that prepared me to do most of the work much later when I was fully grown.
Yeah.
Because, of course, in our kitchens, there were no kid-proof standards. So most of the time she'd be scared. And she shouldn't get burnt or cut herself. But slowly. Now this time I'm talking about that's like 4 years, 5 years. Because I remember I first cooked my first meal when I was around 6. And from then, I never looked back. So I started partaking in everything. Should go to church on Wednesdays and Fridays. So most of those times, I would have to cook. Maybe should make the sauce and I make the food. Like that. So I got to learn by watching her and her letting me do some of the things a few times under supervision. And I also just grew up with her alone, mainly. Like it was on a later stage when I moved in with other children. So I would also want to ask, what is your favorite childhood memories?
My favorite childhood memories were having people over, because remember, we didn't have how many people at home.
Yeah.
So having visitors was my highlight, really. And then the other thing were the Sundays. The Sundays were really, really my best days of the week, because you'd wake up early morning, shower. My grandmother would wake up really, really early, make cassava kalo and make sauce, and then you'd have that as breakfast. Then she would put the matoke on the fire and the sauce and everything. You'd prepare to go to church as the food simmered. And then after church, you go around, she buys you a soda, you go and visit friends around where you'll have a bite or two before you come back home, and then at 4 p.m. probably, and then have something to eat, and that day would just go by like that. So you really didn't have much to do at home. It was just rest day, basically. Yeah, you didn't have to wash dishes. You didn't have to, because there were no dishes. You were not at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think those were my favorite. And then the other memory was, I think I was about 8 or 9. One of my aunties bought me Christmas shoes. I'll never ever forget.
Describe the shoes.
Up to now, I still remind her you don't know what you did for me. Like that was my childhood highlight. So there were white shoes, had a small heel at the back. They were a bit like closed in front, open at the back, and had like
A string.
like straps,
Yeah.
like two straps like this, like would cross like this. I loved those shoes.
How often did you wear them?
Every Sunday, every outing, every chance I got to wear them, I would definitely wear them.
I think that is a 90s, early 2000 kids thing, that you'd get something new and you'd wear it until it asks for water.
I think I must have been like in P5, P6,
Yeah.
but I think I wore those shoes for like 4 years or 3 years. Like I never ever got over them till they were like really, really old. That's my really, really,
Good childhood memory.
Yeah.
Now mine would go back to the days of kujesha. You know
Yes,
kujesha?
yes.
Getting harvesting millets. It used to be holiday, and with my grandmom, she used to hire land, and then they plant. We were just only 2 people, so
Yeah.
we'd just go there off small, not too many times. Just she passed on when I was 12, so I was not exactly so old to partake in all of the work. So sometimes she would hire land and then put there the other women who were capable of digging, and then would go in to maybe harvest.
Yes.
So during the harvesting period, there would be food cooked in
Right.
the garden, or
Yes.
sometimes someone stays home and they cook and they carry the food to the farm. And all the stories you'd have to engage in that you had no business engaging in. The people who are passing going to the market and they don't look so great, so you
Yeah.
start kubahehez, like
Yes.
you laugh at them. I know it was bad, but it's something that kind of made you feel free. It felt like you belonged to a certain group.
Yeah.
And now you're sure the other people, if you yell at them or maybe laugh or anything, they will not come for you because you have backup. You're
And
protected.
that was, as a child, I think like those times were the only like times you would like
Feel
freely
free.
yeah,
Yeah.
to talk about something or engage in an adult conversation without being have to be shut up, like
Keep
you know,
quiet.
keep quiet, old people are talking.
Yeah. And how was school? Like, where did you go to school?
I went to St. Helens Primary School.
The famous Helens.
Yeah. So my school, I like moved between schools. So
Yeah.
when I was like in P3, my other grandfather, like a brother to my grandmother, who had moved to Muvende, got like ill. Then she had to like go and take care of him.
Yeah.
So I stayed back in Barra, but there is a year, I think as in P3, I had to like go and stay with her for that year.
Yeah.
Because when she went, she settled there and
Like bought land and settled.
bought land, built a house. Because I think she just didn't want to like leave her brother. And
Yeah.
unfortunately he passed. So she stayed there for a bit before she
Returned.
returned to Mbara. So I had to like go there, and that was my ultimate village experience, because here in Nyamtanga, okay, it was a
Which
village,
is
but it
town.
was not so much of a village. But there I had a chance to experience the digging, farming, rearing, and I got a chance to like really, really experience the village life there. So when I was there, I was enrolled in a school called Yangoma Primary School. Yeah, so
Do we have OGs and OBs?
I don't know. Even if I met them, I don't know if I can, because I was there for like 2 terms and then
Yeah.
I came back to Mbara. But now, for me, that experience was a bit like life changing. You've been like a kid from electricity to porter.
Yeah.
What now? You have to like go to the well. You probably have like a catado, a lamp, or
Yeah.
so it was like really
A
going
shift.
into it was a shift. So that's when I got to experience the Kujesha part of life. I remember there was a time my grandmother went to, I think she was like she had gone to like help other people. Bakabe hemizi.
Yeah.
They come, they harvest yours, you go and harvest theirs. So it was her turn to go and help other people. So of course she took me along. It was just the two of us at home. So when I reached theirs, they were harvesting. I sat there eating and looked at this other friend of hers. I remember her face very well. She had a nose that was small up here and a bit big down. So when we were seated eating, I told my grandmother, Jaja, Kadia, ainenyi ndo ninke avocado. Like in my head, I thought it was shaped like an avocado. I did not know that she heard what I said.
Yeah.
She
actually heard you?
Yes, she did.
Oh dear.
And till the time like she passed, she would say, "Oh, omishtu wanja wayajitengu nyinenyi ndonke avocado." And then my grandmother would tell me over the phone, Kadia, kuna mtu se na chikulishka ngoka jangu ainenyi ndonke avocado.
I love the innocence of being young, the childlike innocence. You just bully people and you do not know what you're doing. You just say, oh my God, this one is so fat. That could send you to prison. That is
Child
offensive.
are just like bluntly honest people.
Yeah.
They do not know what, okay, most of them do not actually know that what they've said is actually like offensive or harmful.
There's nothing which is offensive, by the way. Most of the times, the things we take to be offensive is how we perceive the information. For example, if I am overweight and someone mentions it, I shouldn't be quick to judge or maybe react and be like, oh my God, you don't talk about those things, you don't do this, you don't do that. If I was perceiving them in the right way without being offended, because is it the truth? Yes. Your nose is like an avocado, and English it's the truth. So if someone has mentioned it and you're comfortable or you're okay with whatever is, then I think about being offended shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah,
if we could deal with situations that we know we have no control over in a more positive way, we wouldn't be getting offended over something as small as, for example, someone asking you when you get married.
Right.
Like, why does that annoy you?
Because Kampala is Kampala.
You also cannot deal with the fact that you do not know, but now you're going to be sad, you're going to be mad and angry at someone else asking I know there are so many things that I have seen on the internet.
No, but it's because...
Stop this.
Because dating in Kampala is hard.
But see, it's not anyone's problem. It's not anyone's making that you have failed to do this, or maybe you haven't even failed. It just hasn't happened. So getting offended by it makes the situation even harder. Yeah? I love that Kadi actually embraced the insult and the joke continued and it was just okay.
And then my other memory is, so I had like an uncle who used to come once in a while, check on us, and he loved Kalo so much. So whenever he'd come, he'd have to mingle some, or maybe my grandmother would have to mingle some for him. So there is this day he comes back. It was like 8 p.m. My grandmother had already slept.
Yeah.
So,
8 p.m. of those days was like 2 a.m.
Yeah, so he tells me, please come and help me in the kitchen, hold the lamp for me as I mingle. So as I was holding the lamp, he finished mingling, put in the basket. The basket fell on my foot. The color burnt me. So as I ran out of the kitchen crying, I still have the scar. I still have it.
Oh my God.
So as I ran out crying, my grandmother came out of the house and ran towards the plantation. So my uncle is like, where are you going? Come back, come back. And then she said, Omane chikoko cha mtwara. It was
context,
right? So when she had me like shouting, she thought an animal had like carried me away or something.
Were you tiny?
Yes, I was. Short, small. Yeah.
A bear could have carried you away.
Even an antelope.
Did you guys end up eating the kalo?
He had to mingle some other more. It was, I don't know. I really felt
That
so
was
much
actually a
pain.
good one. It was a good one. So going to school, did you guys carry food? Did you eat at school?
No. So every morning, I remember everyone had to like carry at least 4 fingers, like 4 fingers of matoke for the teachers to eat. So
Those
every
guys.
morning I would wake up and tell my grandmother, tuwampa minwa torch. Then I would like carry them in a kavera, take them to school. I had to walk to school, but I don't think would eat there. I had to like,
Carry food
but
in
anyway, I was in
Panda.
P3, I think would study up to like lunch and then go back home. Yeah. So I don't, no, I think in my primary school, I didn't at any chance because see, what would happen was even when I was still in Barra, by then my mom was there.
Yeah.
So every day she would like cook food, bring it to school at noon,
Yeah.
and then go back. And then at a later stage, when I still went back, there would be no one at home to like make
Bring
for
you
me
food.
lunch. So I had to walk back to Nsiche from Nyamtanga, walk to Nsiche, have lunch at a restaurant, walk back to school every day. So every day I would now have 4 trips to make. In the morning, back at lunch, back to school, back in the evening.
The way you're mentioning it, someone can think it's like you're taking over 5 kilometers.
It,
Or in
okay, they're like
Sicha
3.
Nyamtanga, it's like with 0.7, like 700 meters.
It's still a
Do
journey.
not exaggerate, please. Please, thank you.
Please, people, we walked 40 kilometers to school.
That's how you old
Kids
people
of these
be
days
like,
don't
oh my
know."
God, how we went to school. It's like they were going through a jungle, the Amazon,
We
fighting
killed lions on
anacondas.
the way.
Aibo. Nsiche to Nyamitanga to St. Helens is like 700 meters. Okay, 1 kilometer tops. But
Okay,
you're even
2.
eating in the restaurant.
Yes. We're staying in a
Don't
trading center.
even mention. But for me, on the other hand, is we used to comment on it. So the food that was cooked in the night, I do not know why Karo was not allowed. The children somehow banned Karo from being brought to school. Or when you had a container that you had to put in your food, Karo could not go with sauce.
Yeah.
Because it would be soggy and look so
Yeah.
ugly and so messy to eat. So we did not do that. But usually my grandmom used to make these beans that were dry. So at least you could put Karo on the other side, but it was
Yeah.
not allowed
Yes,
in
I
school.
remember those beans. They would usually have like a chijamba
Yes.
on top.
And
Yeah.
some dodo on
Yes,
top. That they
yeah.
are dry, but they are really tasty.
Yes.
So mwagoyoburo mbwasa emyate ejo mugikomo mukashesh. If you cook, let's say matoke, you would you put some food aside, the one you will not touch in, so that by morning it's still fresh. You put it in a karere, a banana leaf,
Yes.
and then you put it on the side, then you serve. So tomorrow you just put it in your container and the sauce, and you go to lunch, and then would share all of us.
When I got to experience something like that, so at school we were like many friends.
Yeah.
Of which some would pack food, some would get portion from the
The school
kitchen.
kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah. So you'd all sit together. You first eat this one's
Yes.
food, eat the other person's food like that in a round.
There was always that lumpen who brought Karo. There was always that
Now,
one
for
person.
us, we had that
Aye.
one friend who used to pack posho and meat every day.
That was a favorite.
No, it
Oh,
wasn't.
it wasn't? Because meat was like...
With posho.
Okay,
Okay,
Banyankole and
they
Posho, I don't know. But
Posho
like
and
meat.
meat, they don't really.
This child, Jesus. Posho and meat. You know Posho and meat? What are you talking about?
Okay, don't talk about Kenyan meat of like deep fried what. This is soup, real soup and posho.
Soup ebadde egenda kunteeka mu bizibu kati katugiveeko. Anyways, what I know for sure is enyama. Meat was not also allowed. Like, not that the teacher said you shouldn't, but somehow, because most of the kids did not, so there would be bullying around me. So most of the times we did not bring me to school. It's like you're showing off. It's like you're just being too much for no reason. So a person who brought me to school, oh my God, on break time, they would be busting. Like you have to befriend them to eat their lunch.
These guys at the home, their dad was a butcher. So that's how they managed to
Hey.
pack meat every day. Yeah.
That is nice. We are still with Orin and we are reminiscing on some of our childhood memories. We're talking about school going days and our lunch breaks. It's so different now from what we grew up knowing or what we know as adults now that we are once children. So I want to get back to her again and probably go now maybe to high school. How was it like?
High school was, because it was basically boarding school.
Yeah.
So I remember my first day in boarding school, in high school. I reached school. I felt so lonely. It was a new school. I didn't have any friends. I had just like joined St. Charles Luanga, Kachiri. First of all, I did not know how to speak Luganda. That
Yeah.
was the biggest challenge.
Do you know now? You people never learn.
Ndwogera bulungi nnyo.
Sichiwa.
I didn't have friends, so I remember the first friends I actually made were Batoro friends. Actually, people at that school up to now think I'm Mtoro.
Toro normal.
Ndumanyire Kim.
Awenkoma nani?
So I made friends, but I remember eating all my grub and all my pocket money in the first week.
Wedano.
And after that, from the friends I had made in that week who ate my grub with me, I would tell them, please help me with 5K. I'll pay you back on VD. And I reported on VD, so I had to wait for a month till the next VD because we had 2 visitations. Please help me with 1K. By the time VD came, I had my bunch of like 40K.
My God. Oh my God. You know, if you
But
did that to my mom.
But I actually like really,
Jesus.
really enjoyed boarding school. Like it was like a whole different environment. Like I got to meet new people. It was like,
You're
you know, like
finally
it was just a
free.
break from
Mini,
home.
A mini adult now.
Yeah, you're responsible now. I remember my first holiday going back home. I hadn't performed so well. So
You are busy borrowing money. How could you?
right. I got on a taxi, left school, reached town, called my mother. She had to come and pick me.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't make my way to Nalia properly. So she had to like meet me in town, then we'd go back home together.
Yeah.
So when she reached, like she said, show me your report. I showed her my report. She said, you're not coming home with me.
Oh, wow.
She took me straight on a bus to Mbara. I got on the bus at 7
How
p.m.
bad was it?
It was, I really can't explain it.
Our future husband could be watching and be like, you don't deserve this.
I'm a better person now. I know better.
Okay.
I really performed well after that. I learned my lesson. But she chased me and told me, no, go back to the village. I can't stay with such people who don't perform well in school.
Did it hurt?
Not really. I had missed home. I just went and that was it. But like, she kept, you know, like how she calls young and says, akugambire zafunire. When they come and ask me, I tell them other marks. When she akakubiha, this is what she got. This was her position. Mothers, you're not kawa.
I don't have any comments. So I don't have any comments because I feel like that's problematic in this time now. If you're viewing it from here, back then that was toxic. That was toxic. But I mean, when we were growing up, I remember being beaten so bad for marks. I scored 14% in mathematics, and I was beaten to pulp. Bakubanze, and I hated math since then. And I understand where they were coming from. Back in the day, you know how right now they say gentle parenting is for gentle kids? I think back in the day, most of us were really, really problematic if we were not put in position to do things the right way or the way they wanted us to do them. I doubt we would have done anything on our own,
Right.
on our own, like properly. It may have damaged us in a way or two, but it's something we can work with. At least we did not lose a limb. Yeah.
So
That's a win.
When I was growing up, I had an auntie. She was like in charge of discipline at home. She's a dentist. So she worked in Rukunjiri and would come home every Friday.
Yeah, the weekends.
Yes, and then leave on Sunday or Monday morning. So my mom didn't really beat me that much. I remember, if I'm to remember properly, she only beat me like twice. Once, she gave me money to go to the shop and buy peanuts. I didn't want to go. I threw the money in the bush while she was saying. She got me, gave me. Looked for the money, she couldn't find it.
Oh my God.
The other time, she made chapatis that were supposed to be for evening tea. When I came back from playing, I pinched them on the side.
All of them.
And I thought she wouldn't notice.
Because you are sharp.
When she came back, she asked, who pinched the chapatis? Che. And I was the only child at home. She beat me, told me, eat all of them. Could I even finish 2?
No.
And I went back to bed at 6 p.m. So after that, it was mainly my auntie who would discipline us.
Yeah.
She was very tough. She was really tough. So whenever she'd come on Friday, they would tell her, Orin did this on Monday. Orin did this on Tuesday. And she says, go and bring a stick. I go, climb, get a stick, and you have to get a really
Proper
decent
one.
stick. If you bring a small one, she'll beat you and send you for another one. Give you, and after you go and do the chores. Yeah, so discipline was by her mainly. And
I think generations have changed now. They have really changed, and I am so jealous of these kids. Like, you can tell a child, you go and bathe, and they're like,
no,
I don't want to bathe today. And you're like, you're even speaking that in English.
right? Right.
Back in the day.
But besides that, I feel like, okay, back then you'd look at it as, does this person hate me?
Yeah. I wonder
But-
why.
But now, when you're to look at it, like, they actually meant good. Like, it was the only way. I think, like, we were just
That's
so
the only way they
big-headed.
knew.
Yeah, that's the only way they knew how to discipline.
I do
That's how
not
they were
think-
disciplined.
I do not think we were big-headed. I think they tried to tame us before we even tried to fly.
Right.
So we were made problematic even before we could become problematic. It means, yes, the mother is going to push the child, whether it's a girl or a boy, but if you do not put a firm grip on this mother before they start screaming, they may scream and just squeeze their legs because the pain is unbearable. But imagine if you explain to this mother how things work, they would still probably push the baby and it comes out. So I think they were not talking to us because that is how they had grown up. That's like how long after colonialism, how long after slavery, how long after all the trauma they were going through with these guys showing up and taking them away, telling them to do this and that. They're always running away. So they are almost direct descendants. So they are teaching us to obey the master.
Yes.
But now our generation, the generation we're bringing forth, there's no master. If anything, we should go down in history as the generation that tried to change things. We tried to heal. Now we are going in therapy. We tried to be gentle parents. Some of us are still failing. Like, we are trying, really, but them, they did not know better. Some of them, right now, you could look back and it's outright toxicity. Like, how dare you?
How dare you?
How would you treat me like I was not your child? How didn't you love me? But they knew if they showed us the soft side, the white man wouldn't. So we would be in danger. So that is where I like forgive them and see how we can be better, push forward the same narrative.
Up to now, like sometimes I'm home, I listen to music a lot, and it's from childhood. As in, like, allowed to like move around.
Yeah.
So I would be home. I remember whenever they would be leaving, they would probably switch on like Capitol, and it would be Capitol from morning up to evening, because you're not allowed to touch that radio. You're not allowed to touch.
The famous Panasonic.
So you just like listen and listen and listen. So I listen to a lot of music. But there is that music that plays, and there is an emotion that it awakens in you, but you don't know what exactly it is attached to.
Yeah.
Like, I listened to this song when I was either happy or very sad.
Yeah.
But you don't know, like, you can't remember the exact moment, but it really like triggers something in you. And my other beautiful childhood memory was my grandmother was a very funny person. She had a sense of humor, and she loved music a lot. She loved to like dance around the house, sing songs. She loved Eli Wamala so much. She loved I remember very well, her favorite song was Olupapula Simupira, and she loved to sing it.
Tuwema kapera.
Wambuza obanga nkwagala amazima nkwagala era gwe nambemu. Yeah, that was her like really,
It was
really.
called Old Popular Simopira.
Yeah, that's the title.
Okay.
So she would like sing those songs, and she would be like so happy. Like, that is one memory I really, really hold onto so much. Yeah, it's.
And when you play the song, does it evoke something in you?
Yes,
that is...
I really, really listen to it a lot. Even just thinking about it, I get goosebumps.
Oh,
like
she's resting in eternity.
Really, really think about it a lot. Like, that's one memory. Like, that is how I love to remember her.
A happy person, a bubbly person who wants to dance around.
Very, very huge sense of humor.
You know, sometimes I catch myself thinking about death. Oftentimes, I do not know why. I don't know if it's normal or abnormal, but it's always a feeling of, so today, what did I choose to do that when I am gone, people will say, oh, the cooking nurse or Rita would have done it like this.
Yeah.
If Mama was here, she would have thrown a party in 2 minutes.
Right.
If she was here, she would have cooked for us. We would have bathed. She would have said, randomly, let's just go and have ice cream. Like, there's no holding back. There's always something. And I ask myself, so what if I am not here anymore? What will people say?
Whenever I go back home, like festive season, and like preparing matoke, or maybe I'm going to the plantation, I think about my grandmother a lot.
Yeah.
I remember how she wrapped the matoke, how she cooked the matoke. Like, up to now, I really don't know how those people made such perfect food. Like, the food was so, like, it doesn't taste like anything. It's
Because,
them who knew how to cook that, and that's it.
As a cook, right now, I know for sure our problem is time.
Yeah.
The only problem or secret to the food that our grandparents cooked is time. We are rushing to absolutely nowhere. We are always looking for a quick way, a better way, or a faster way to do something. Now you have told us earlier on that you would make breakfast on Sunday and then put matoke on fire and go to church and come back and it's been on fire. So the aromas that have been infused in this food, if you used banana leaves, the time you have given this food to cook, they cannot, compare to you cooking on gas cooker for 45 minutes, like the recipe said, or whoever your influencer is and time they are telling you, and you're rushing, you cannot leave gas on. The apartment you're living in is tiled, the walls are white, you're not bringing charcoal in, neither are you going to put firewood. So the problem is not that we have failed or we do not know how to cook. The problem is we do not have the time, the patience.
Up to now, my like people at home always complain and say we always, if Orin is in the kitchen, we are going to eat late. But I just do not know how to rush through things. That's not how I learned. Like I like to cook my food slowly, leave it on the fire, let it simmer and all that. And the always like complaining about it. Orin, yata home chung to be mwend.
But you see,
That's-
now that can be solved by probably waking up
very
earlier,
early.
planning ahead of time.
Yeah.
You know, we would peel food in the evening that was supposed to be cooked for today's party or something like that. So planning ahead and waking up early and just being intentional about what you're doing could be something nice. So the same question I was telling you about, I want to ask you as we wind up. When you're no longer here, you have lived, you have served your time, you have had fun, you've done everything. What would you want someone to genuinely remember you for, even if it's just one person?
I would want to be remembered as a person who was very kind, who I look at like you don't really like count favors, but when you do something for someone, you really feel that yeah, I've solved one problem.
Yeah.
It is one less problem. Like I've done something for them and it might not be for long, but
Yeah.
they've felt happy and relieved for
In
some
that
time
minute,
in
yeah.
that moment. And I want to be remembered as a person who loved people, who loved to host people, who loved to cook for people, who loved to be happy. I really love to be happy. Like, if there is any conflict, if a fight started here, I would be the first person to get out. Anything that takes away my happiness, no,
You're out.
I'm out. And I would love to be remembered as a person that wherever I am, at least people feel the love. Like up to now, whenever I'm home, the kids at home might not like never know why I do this, but whenever I'm home, and now it's like part of them. Like if I meet you in a corridor or if I meet you outside, I'll just like give you a hug. It's just like a feel good hug.
Yeah.
I do that to all the children at home. Like whenever I meet them, I say, oh, even the older ones,
Come
like,
here.
hi, how are you? Are you okay?
Yeah.
And yeah, just to make them feel good. Like even if there is something that is disturbing someone,
Yeah.
they might end up like opening up like unintentionally, but they say, no, but I'm not
It's
okay.
okay,
Like
or-
it's something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I really want to be remembered.
That is nice. Sometimes being selfless can really go a long way. You see how you look back in your childhood and you're like, this one time, this person may not have been doing the most, but this one time I was going through something and someone gave me a hug. This person did give me a hug. Or someone gave me or did something small. Someone finds you in a queue. You're really tired. You're hungry. You're frustrated. And they just help you get out of the queue. You forever remember that. Those small acts of kindness.
Do you know what the biggest compliment I've ever gotten in my life is?
No.
So I had gone home to my grandmother's home. I went to cut banana leaves. You know, as you remove that like stalk and all that.
Yeah.
She told me, oh, you actually really know how to do it. And then it was gogoraji. Like, yeah, that's like really like, no, this is how I looked at it. Like, oh, this is a person who actually does it so well. So by the time they really say I do
Yeah.
it so well, it means
You're
I've
doing it.
done a perfect job. Like,
Let
she's
us-
really
Let us
impressed.
to talk to one of your online coaches on how we can monetize that. That was a bad
For
joke.
all people who want to go
Learn how
Gorendere,
Kugugurendere.
please
Erin
call
is
me.
here.
Please
Small
call me.
fees, $10. Anyways, it was so nice hosting you. I hope we can have another conversation, maybe later, maybe another time. And I am really grateful that you get to share this with us. Maybe one time we'll look back and be like, oh my
And be
God,
like, oh,
those were the good old days. Oh, those were actually really bad days. I do not know how I was feeling there, but yeah. Or I have followed through and I'm a kind person. Every day that passes, I try and do something kind. Or I am a nice person. I give free hugs.
Right.
Not to everyone.
People
You know,
around you, people at
you
home.
know what I mean. Yeah, thank you. But it was really nice, Orin, and I wish you a happy new year,
Thank
a
you so much
fantastic
for hosting me,
2024.
Rita. I'm really so grateful that I really get to share with this part of me, like
Yeah.
this wonderful childhood, like my childhood memories, and partially like this makes me feel like
You're back
I
home.
really, yeah, this really gives me a chance to talk to a person that I really loved so much, to like
Yeah.
pay tribute to her, like, because she really did so many wonderful things.
That is nice, and I hope her soul rests where it's easy and the grass is greener. And to all our grandparents and the people that came before us and paved the way for us and taught us things that we still live with forever, we are forever grateful, and we pledge to do the same for the people we are bringing forth. It was Rita and Orin, and we wish you a happy new year.
Year.